Well, Mark Goodcamp has been at Martin Place this morning at the protest, and he joins us now in the studio. Mark Goodcamp, just explain to us then what happened this morning.
Well, we were asleep. It was about 10 to 5 when I suddenly heard one of my fellow protesters saying, "Quick, everyone get up, the police are coming." And I expected maybe a dozen or so, but just more and more lines of police came in, and it was well over 100, between 100 and 200 police in total, a mixture of the riot police and the ordinary duty police. And basically, as was just reported, we were given about 5 to 10 minutes to move. We've been there for a week. There's quite a bit of property that's there, and people were just surfacing and getting up. And before we knew it, basically protesters started to be removed.
So they were physically manhandling you out of the area. We've got some vision of the scene there at the moment. What do they say to you?
Basically, unless you move from this area, you will be placed under arrest. And obviously, people are had become very attached to the fact that we'd had this protest for a week. And believe very strongly in our cause, and so basically, before too long, people were dragged off with a very large degree of force.
Was anyone injured?
Quite a lot of people. I saw at least one bloodied nose. I saw people being punched. I saw people being thrown and pushed very violently. I myself had the wrist technique applied to me in a way I never have felt before.
I mean, given the police
screaming out in genuine anger.
Obviously, the police were being quite forceful. Were you resisting arrest, though?
I don't feel that I was resisting arrest at all.
Well, I mean, maybe not you, but were others resisting arrest?
I don't feel there was a conscious decision to resist arrest on the part of anybody. We did have our arms linked, and at some point when police were trying to grab us, it was just physically impossible for us to unlock ourselves from other people, and I certainly tried to when the police applied the wrist technique, but was unable to, and it was just applied even heavier. Interestingly enough, though, the vast majority of us who were handcuffed and told that we were under arrest were quickly released.
What is the aim of you occupying this site here? We've obviously seen this happen across the world. Is it not a case that we have people protesting simply for the sake of protesting?
No, I would disagree with that. I think the fact that it has become a global phenomenon shows that we share similar economic and social conditions across the planet. And people are concerned that the gap between rich and poor has really accelerated and become even more pronounced in the last 2 or 3 decades. The top 1%, we had the huge bailout of all the banks, particularly in the US and Europe. The banks are making massive profits, yet people are being thrown out of their homes, people are losing their jobs, and inequality at a global level.
But is this sort of coalesced around a number of issues? I mean, you yourself are also an advocate for refugees, aren't you?
That's right, I am.
So how does that work into the protest about corporate greed?
Well, I suppose we do have our detention centres run by a massive multinational company called Serco, which has currently got more than a $1 billion contract. And the refugees themselves are often, if we're talking in percentages, are often in the bottom 10% of the world's population socioeconomically. Large corporations are able to roam the planet seeking the greatest return on their investments. But when it comes to refugees seeking asylum, greater barriers are placed in their way to getting protection.
All right, Mark Goodcamp, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.